Recording is on.
Hello and welcome to the DXDAO BizDev call for Monday, August 1st, 2022. Um, on the agenda today, we don't have any new member introductions. We do have Serge from PretzelDAO, who's going to be speaking in a few moments. We're going to be talking about the Nimi grant proposal that's been sent a few hours ago in the forum. Under the DXbiz discussions, we have a Gnosis collaboration discussion that was started in one of the chats. Which includes, a cow protocol, carrot campaign for Devcon, and under DX events we have the Infinite Hackathon and Devcon that is happening later this year. Without further ado, Serge, you can unmute yourself and tell us a little bit more about PretzelDAO. I think some of us met you in Paris.
Sure. Thanks. Thanks for the spot and the ability to introduce myself. Yeah, I'm Serge. I'm from Munich, from Germany, and one of the founding members of PretzelDAO. We are a community of builders, Web3 builders, from Germany. Most of us are from Munich, and some of the people already worked with DXDAO before. For example, Nick supported as from development side, and I'm just here want to also get more involved in DXDAO and joining your calls. I'm more like from the product side and strategy, and happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you here. I'm actually a big fan of Serg. I see him on all the hackathons, and he's always a finalist. It's a pretty good product builder. I think, it's an honor to have you here and welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. So, just wondering what type of how could we collaborate? I think there are many angles, but I don't know if you have any thoughts. Maybe Zet, you have thoughts?
Good question. Maybe we should also introduce ourselves into PretzelDAO, and obviously we do have opportunities at DXDAO. We do need people to help us build our products, but from like just a decentralization point of view, I think we should be a good example on how to do stuff decentralized. So I think PretzelDAO could maybe learn one thing or two from DXDAO and the products we're doing and why we do what we do. So from that end, I think we could just be educational. But from the builder's perspective, obviously, there's some opportunities.
Definitely sounds great, and yes, for sure, DXDAO is something we've been looking at. Just building our DAO. We're still like in the beginnings. Establishing a treasury and stuff like this as well, still on the plan, because we are from Germany. We want to do it also in a proper way. So there's a lot to explore from us, but one thing for sure is that we always have builders who coming in, joining our DAO, and who also looking, to get involved in the Web3 world, either going with us to hackathons or maybe also supporting our DAOs who might need help. So for sure, can imagine some future collaborations here. And definitely thank you again for the invitation, Seth, to join the call. I'm also here not just from PretzelDAO, but also from my side. I want to learn more about the XDAO and how you guys doing things. Since for me it's also one of the best examples of a truly decentralized community.
Awesome. So welcome, Serge. I guess if we're mentioning hackathons, we will be discussing our Infinite Hackathon that's happening in Bogota, and I think before that there is ETH Berlin. I don't know if any people here are planning to go, so that's also happening. Maybe we'll see you there.
Oh, definitely. Many people from PretzelDAO actually already confirmed to go, so I expect at least like 10 people.
Do you guys distribute tasty pretzels at all the places you guys show up?
Well, we distribute, indeed for now, we distribute NFT pretzels, which are for free, so everyone can mint one. We even pay for the gas, called bakery.pretzeldao.com, and it's our onboarding tool for people who are new to Web3 space. So if you have no NFTs in the wallet, we distribute you one pretzel for free, which is randomly generated based on the weather in Munich. But in terms of giving real pretzels, you might do this in Berlin, indeed.
Sweet.
Yeah. Sounds like a very good giveaway. Yeah, so welcome. So I think the next topic is the Nimi incubation grant proposal that's in the forum, and yeah, Dave sent that out a few hours ago. Just linked it here as well, and this has sort of been circulating and discussed previously, but yeah, now we're beginning to, I guess, shape exactly what this will look like, or try to figure out what this will look like. And yeah, Dave, I don't know, do you want to take us away?
Sure, happy to talk about it. I mean, the forum post worked with Zed, Adam, and Violet as well, and I think it's just like exploring in a way for like early stage projects or like side projects, however you want to refer to it, to kind of spin out of DXDAO. So of course, I'm sure most of you are aware, but Nimi.eth is like a hackathon project. We hacked that in Amsterdam. It was me, John, Zed, Adam, and Violet. And the hackathon didn't officially have winners, but they had like 10 finalists, I believe, and we were among the 10 finalists. And yeah, since then we've kind of like just polished it up a little bit for EthCC, and then we had actually quite a bit of traction at EthCC. We have like, I think 700 pages set up now on Nimi. 13 finalists, not 10. I was trying, that's my Italian side, trying to always make it sound a little bit better. Yeah, we received some interest as well from some VCs and some other people interested in giving us grants, and so we kind of like explored how we could like bring the project along further and kind of keep working on it a bit more. Right now it's just been like nights and weekends, and in fact if you look at Nimi, it's not changed much since the hackathon. We really just polished the UI a bit. And yeah, we came up with the idea of perhaps like doing like an incubation grant style where DXDAO gives the grant to Nimi of a certain amount, and in return gets like an % of tokens in a potential future airdrop, which we were thinking around like 5%. The reason we didn't put it in the forum was like we're also talking with other people about grants. So like ENS wants to give us a grant, the Graph perhaps, and some other people. And so the only reason is like we'd like to keep those details kind of private if possible, because of course we don't want to necessarily be obliged to give a percentage of tokens to ENS as well, right? I think the angle we're coming at from DXDAO is much more, we coded this at the ETH Amsterdam hackathon, where we were there paid by DXDAO and kind of representing DXDAO at the hackathon. And of course, I think there are a lot of shared values as well between Nimi and DXDAO. Ironically, talking about this today where .link was gone down, but around the whole like ENS and hosting on your ENS, which is something DXDAO is really a leader in. And I think, we haven't really done much outreach or marketing at all. And we have like a decent amount of interest in Nimi, people in our Discord server. And I was also just thinking about the opportunity of like using Nimi as a way to like introduce people to DXDAO, right? Like if people are going to Nimi and setting up a website on their ENS domain, it probably means they have like some basic Web3 knowledge and are at least Web3 users, And I think if there's a good way that, to work on like funneling these users to DXDAO, like, I don't know, even if it's just like a shared Twitter space or shared community calls, of course, talking about DXDAO whenever there's a presentation about Nimi, I think there could be a good benefit for DXDAO as well, just in like kind of raising awareness and attracting new users, which is something we've already all like kind of have a challenge with, of course, or like we don't even know because we don't really track it, right? And yeah, so the proposal is up, and so the proposal exactly is like 150K, and then for 5% of a future airdrop of tokens, yeah. And then of course we all work at DXDAO as well, so like we also put in the proposal like a limit of reducing our worker proposals to 60%. Of course, we don't want to all right away drop off and start working on something else, I think that would be a bad situation for the DAO and probably for us as well. And I think most of us are, of course, also want to contribute to their responsibilities at the DAO, probably at a reduced time in the future if this proposal passes. But it's really like trying to set a framework or like possibility of how this could perhaps even work in the future if there are new projects coming out in DXDAO, like other people have a side project they want to spin up. And yeah, I feel like I've talked a lot, so I'm just going to pause for a little while.
I mean, good talk. I think this is like, these things are very interesting because obviously no one has done that before, and I think the situation here is very delicate because, like you said, you guys are still working for DXDAO and you want to, maybe allocate more time specifically to Nimi. And yeah, I think, if we manage to structure this in a way that aligns both sort of, the Nimi team and the DXDAO sort of like DAO and aligned on the success of the product, then sort of like both entities can stand a lot to win here. And then yeah, I think like I mentioned this in the forum as well, like this could give precedent to like other such sort of like incubation or semi-incubations and exits, I guess, or spin-outs from the DAO. So yeah, I don't know. Interested to hear like more people here, their thoughts, and yeah, how would you improve on this? Like, what do you think is missing? Stuff like that.
I think it's awesome, and look forward to this probably like getting past, I hope. But I do have questions. Like I think I guess like three questions. I suppose one is, just more clarity on like what does DXDAO get, and then what does DXDAO give, right? So if this is like an incubation, like is the expectation that DX Voice is going to be focusing on this, that kind of thing. And then the second question would be, in terms of the team, like, is there a plan already? And maybe there isn't, but I would be curious about this because I think VCs are going to want to know is like, who's going to go full time and like what, how does that work as you transition out of roles from DXDAO? And maybe it's just two questions.
Yeah, for sure. I think the approach of like kind of going for grants right now is to like build a better product to eventually raise in the future. I would say like at end of the year, perhaps, like we have some ideas of what we want to do for Devcon, etc. So I think, up to then, we obviously, of course, also don't want to just drop all our responsibilities as the DAO overnight. So I think, I think that's a question we'll be in a much better position to answer in a couple of months, probably. And then in regards to the first question, yeah, I think like the incubation part in the grant is also to justify like the token allocation, right? Rather than just a regular grant where I guess it's a grant is just a grant, right? And yeah, I'm not sure if like how you guys see it about like putting the 5% in the investment in the proposal on chain. I think we've done other grants where like the investment terms, so to speak, were not disclosed. But yeah, I don't know about that. And yeah, of course, the other point you raised as well is also important. I don't think we'd like expect anyone else to like, dedicate 20-30% of their worker proposal time on Nimi. I think like the way we looked at it in the incubation stage is more like being able to go up to someone and ask some feedback more in that sort of way, But I think it's also interesting to, explore how that could look or like have some more clarity on that.
Yeah, because like Swapper doesn't have a marketing team, doesn't have a biz dev team, like kind of doesn't have some of the other things that allows it to run like as a product. And that's what I think of what's like a DXDAO product. And so I think with this like outside funding, presumably to me, that outside funding is basically used to like do a lot of those things that like the DXDAO support system would do, but probably like more in like the real world because it's like a little more like not Web 2-y, but maybe there's some interaction with that, with like the social media part there. So I think like clarity, like interesting like clarity on that. But for me, I think like a DXDAO product that's providing those like auxiliary services, I think would have to be like much more than 5%. But maybe there's something that could be worked out even in like that grant in terms of that. And then I guess like the other point or thing to consider is like, so the 2 days a week for 6 months. So obviously like that has an effect on some of DXDAO's other products, but that's also about $75,000 of like those compensation over that time period that DXDAO would be compensated for the Nimi team. And so I guess like maybe this grant is more like 225,000 for that. It's like another way to look at it.
I mean, the two days a week would not be paid by DXDAO, of course. Is that how you were calculating it? Sorry.
Oh, I was. Yeah. Sorry. That's what I thought I was doing. Yeah. Okay. So
Oh,
that
yeah.
would be
No.
2 days,
Like,
60. Okay. Got that. Okay, that makes
yeah.
sense.
No. 100%. Yeah. Like 100% is in. As
Not
in, I agree with you.
40%,
Not
yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. Right. So that's also part of what the funds are going to be used for, right? Is to like basically compensate you all for those 2 days a week too, right? Because you will not be getting paid as much from DXDAO. Okay.
Yeah, I don't believe any of us want to actually take the adjust for the lost money, but yeah.
Right, because that's like another way, just as another way of like DXDAO can fund things is through like paying people salary to work on that a certain percentage of time, as opposed to just like the grant thing. So
Yeah,
just another.
I think one reason for that is like, I think that makes it look more like a DXDAO product, and it would make it harder to raise grants externally, right? If like the DXDAO, if it looks more like a DXDAO product, like ENS would say like, yeah, you guys have like a 60 million treasury. Why do you want 20K from us, you know?
Especially when we already have 700K ENS.
Yeah.
So I would just say that I would try to figure out like what's the structure that we want to do, and at least for now, not worry about like, how to communicate this afterwards. And, I'm happy to help sort of like figure out, if you are raising money even from VCs, then how do you communicate this, and how do we structure it, like outside? How do we say, okay, so, DXDAO has been incubated by, Nimi has been incubated by DXDAO, and, this is what DXDAO gets. And yeah, like we are, maybe Nimi is still I don't know if paying, but is still receiving some services from DXDAO, like, like communications, like biz dev and stuff like that. I think we should my point is that we should find like what's the ideal thing that we want to do and not worry about the communications for it. That could be done later, but let's just find, like the optimal solution, and then figure out how to communicate it outwards. And, I'm happy to help with that, sort of like putting the VC hat and what does it look like and how to basically talk to them.
Well, I think, go ahead, Dave, if you wanted to respond.
I don't know. I was just going to say, yeah, I agree with Nylan. And if you guys have any feedback, to drop it in the forum as well, so we can like reiterate on it. Yeah.
And I was going to say that I think one of the things that makes this really attractive for DXDAO is if it could serve as a template for other projects to be incubated. And I think that could potentially be other contributors doing something similar to what Nimi is, like kind of like following in Nimi's footsteps. Or it could be potentially even like outside teams saying, oh, look, like this is actually an attractive place to get incubated. And that's where I think like what services could be really interesting. And I don't think we necessarily want to be like piling things on top of DX Voice, but maybe even just like DX Voice support during the incubation period, right? So it's like a limited time. They kind of maybe, whatever. And I'd be curious what is Keenan on the call?
But I'm struggling a bit here with sleep. But yeah, I also agree with that. I think we talked about this before, John, kind of like intra support when we give grants, like not necessarily just a pure money grant, but also a resource grant. Would be, of course, willing to consider this, but of course have to run by our prioritization as well.
I think as like founders, you want to be focused on just building, right? And it's really hard when it's just a couple people and fundraising is a full-time job and you don't know how to do anything and you're wearing like 10 different hats, right? And so if like DXDAO can kind of lighten that load and let the founders really just focus on the product iteration, I think that becomes appealing, right? Like, and so like I think Dave could probably talk to like setting up a Discord when you haven't done it before it's not easy, right? Like and that kind of thing. I mean, there's all kinds of things I think we could like support on.
But yeah, and I think that maybe is a good example. Like, surely you should talk to Keenan about setting up a Discord like never before, like kind of regardless. But like Keenan's probably not running the Discord for Nimi, at least for now. We're kind of thinking about that long term, but it can definitely be like a valuable source of information.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and I think like, John raised a very good point, because I tried to set up the Discord and I'm still lost to date. So many roles and so many things, and yeah.
Yeah. And I want to say that, sort of like an effect that will have on this, I think one of the things that are the most difficult to get in like crypto and Web3, whatever, is sort of like reputation, right? And like your brand. And I think, DXDAO has gotten like a fairly like solid brand, and things like Nimi, and then, Nimi, and then, there's like a logo, or maybe, incubated, powered by DXDAO or something. This could go a long way, and this could also be like a compelling value proposition for new projects, because it's not just about the DX voice, whatever this is, like tweets and social and stuff like that. It's also being a part of a stronger brand, and I think this could be like a very big value proposition for new projects. Any other new thoughts, or I don't know if anyone else has any comments?
Maybe a suggestion that the proposal come in another stablecoin than USDC, if we want to, or that we can kind of figure that out, then it could be traded. But I don't know if that's worth it here. But just such a large one there, when we think of like the stablecoins and how we allocate them, or what their balance is, it may be an opportunity to redo that, but maybe not to this proposal.
Yeah, I think these are some of the negotiated stables. I think that's kind of like I guess after we finalize that, we'll be able to figure out how to exactly do that. Under the next sort of topic, we have a Gnosis collaboration discussion. This is something that is we discussed it in one of the chats, and I guess maybe a little bit of background. The Swapper has integrated CowSwap, and now sort of integrated through the eco router, and essentially function as like a new front end for CowSwap, and which is it's pretty cool, and B, this puts us. I think DXDAO has always been fairly close with the Gnosis ecosystem. The Gnosis. Gnosis, after spinning out Gnosis Safe and CowSwap, is now mostly focusing on Gnosis Chain. A few other things that have happened is that there's like an ecosystem fund that's been funded. I don't know if it's fully finalized, but they've been funded with like $300 million. I got the chance to speak to some of those guys. I actually pitched them to turn Gnosis Chain into Terra. Like, you burn GNO in order to mint a stable coin. And they were like, hey, it's not that bad of an idea.
Why?
Because I mean, if you do it like you can do it like better, right? Like not as insane as Terra was, but the idea of burn a token to create like think of this as like a DAI powered chain. So I mean, I don't know if they're going to do it, but so
you
there's
could call it XDAI.
But this would give like a lot of utility to GNO, right? And like there's a lot of opportunities. I think I think DXDAO should be, like, my personal take is that DXDAO should be closer to Gnosis. We're sort of like already very close to them, but there's no like official collaboration or anything. And I guess if we even go further back, DXDAO was sort of born out of an initiative from DAO Stack and Gnosis, and then once both of them sort of left it, the community, some of the people here on the call, managed to basically take it over, and spin up like a bonding curve sale, and and sort of get it to where it is today. Gnosis and DAO Stack haven't really been involved. I mean, I guess I was involved from DAO Stack, but not anymore. And yeah, think there have been some, maybe ups and downs in the relationship with them, some collaboration opportunities, but nothing really, materialized to something big. And I don't know. With this background, I guess we can open it up to anyone who wants to comment.
Was there a specific proposal on the table for how to collaborate, or is the idea just like?
I think we can just brainstorm, right? So I think one of the things that they care about, right, is the Gnosis chain, like everything to do with the Gnosis chain, and obviously we're there. I think like we're one of the largest dexes on Gnosis chain, and so one thing to think about is just double down on Gnosis chain and become, I don't know, maybe even stronger voice in that ecosystem through, I think many people here run validators and stuff like that. And I don't know, brainstorming like what can we do? Maybe, so like this is like off the top of my head, maybe we could, if we're talking about like DXDAO incubating and spinning out projects, maybe we could, maybe get a grant from the ecosystem fund of Gnosis to basically spin out projects on top of Gnosis chain as an idea.
Yeah, so I can give some additional background, but there's a lot of moving parts here. Obviously, with the way Gnosis as a company / DAO has changed, there's lots of different groups of relationships that have been built and are being built, and that's mainly because of the way that Gnosis DAO has decided to spin off products that they've made. And so, we are separately, like we're talking to and have a relationship with the cow team about certain things related to that. Like that will happen also with Safe and has happened in the past. And then, with Gnosis DAO mainly looking after Gnosis Chain, which Gnosis Chain and the teams working on that have also changed over time. But one of the unique things about Gnosis DAO mainly being focused on Gnosis Chain now is that it is an open permissionless blockchain, right? So if you compare it to like Polygon or Ethereum or other blockchains, it becomes a little more unique of a situation when you're talking about something like alignments and, for example, a token swap or any things like that, or collaborations, where there's most public blockchains do have, well, outside of Ethereum, you have all these other ones that have created ecosystem funds in order to attract and support projects building and attracting things to their chain, because that as a chain, as a layer 1 chain, and eventually layer 2 chains, you want to attract people to your chain. Theoretically, like these chains should probably, if they're open, public, permissionless blockchains, they can attract people, but they can't. It's hard to like form alliances specifically with certain projects unless they commit to like, only doing stuff for your chain. So Gnosis DAO, which was more of a DAO with a bunch of different products and growing all their products they're making and stuff, with all the spin-offs, and it's just focusing on the chain, it becomes a little harder to just align. Like, would DXDAO do a token swap or some agreement or partnership agreement with an open public blockchain, which then could alter its path forward, and that could limit it from exploring, other chains and things. So, Geronimo's asked this question, like, should DXDAO double down on Gnosis Chain? And I think Gnosis Chain is where DXDAO's products have the most traction right now, which is why we have been leaning into Gnosis Chain. And it's obviously there's a big DAO community there, and DXDAO, one of its most well-known thing is it being a DAO and it's DAO tooling and that kind of thing. So I think that we just not by chance, but by way of how things have played out, we have been leading into Gnosis Chain. but it is an interesting question. Is there some reason to specifically like align even more? You know, we had Gnosis, I guess, invested now in Agave, right? But like, are they specifically promoting and supporting Agave more than another lending protocol or something like that? So if DXDAO and Gnosis DAO had more alignment, would Gnosis DAO have incentive to promote DXDAO and its products over other projects that also may be on Gnosis chain? So it's become, I think, in summary, it's become a little more trickier to create like actual dedicated alignments because it's an open public blockchain versus what Gnosis company kind of used to be, where it had a more narrow focus specifically on certain products and things. So I don't know what the answer is, but if anyone has any thoughts about that, it's a unique situation.
Yeah, I mean, you said alignment. I'm just thinking about how do you align interests, right? I already think we have a lot of interest aligned in just the sense that we, DXDAO is on Gnosis chain. It has like, I don't know, $5-6 million on there, and I think that is like an alignment of interest where we hope Gnosis chain succeeds. We hope they pour money into Gnosis chain to help us succeed, and we provide some value to them. I think maybe the question is like how to further align, right? And then what are the things that can do that? And I think that's a lot trickier without having something specific. I think there are kind of like two different ways you can go about further aligning with, some entity, whether it's decentralized or not. One is you do something specific together. You work on like a project. You're like, we're going to both devote resources to this. We're going to both invest in that. So we need to find out like what that is, what that would already be, and kind of lay that out. And then the second way is a little bit simpler, but maybe doesn't yield the same results. And that would be some type of like incentive alignment or token swap of some sorts, where like Gnosis chain is incentivized, or Gnosis is incentivized because they hold DXD, and DXDAO is incentivized because it holds GNO. Obviously, I think DXDAO does hold some GNO. I don't know if Gnosis chain or Gnosis DAO, I don't think they hold it in DXD, but maybe some Gnosis DAO members do. But I think that's like another way to align interest. But yeah, it's either like something specific, like a project that we can both like devote resources to, or some like actual incentive, like token incentive swap.
Yeah, so another way to express alignment is just, as an example, is kind of what we did with our event in Paris. Co-organizing events together where there is the bringing together of people from your communities and their communities, and then the partners and customers of all of those communities all kind of showing up and being a part of the same conversations and things like that is always a good thing to bring together. And I think that is an example of like some real world steps of continued alignment. But to Chris's point, like, yeah, is there like financially, like, are there financial alignment incentives in place to grow, to like grow the relationship? And that's my question, is like, now that I guess Gnosis is going to have this ecosystem fund, like they want to support and give grants and invest in projects that are going to help the Gnosis chain ecosystem. But can they give like specific one-off like alignments with certain projects over other projects, now that they kind of have to be like a open, public blockchain? Yet Gnosis DAO still has built things like the Gnosis conditional token framework and still is responsible for that. I mean, it's deployed onto Ethereum, but like on their site, that's one of their things that they've made. How does Gnosis DAO like does that need to be spin out of Gnosis DAO as well? It's, I don't know. They're not focused on it right now, but like, do they continue? Do they have to spin out everything that's not basically Gnosis chain related?
So I want to go back a little bit. Maybe I think I don't see Geronimo here, but I think the first question that we need to ask is whether we want to double down on Gnosis chain. And so if we want to double down on the Gnosis chain, then that means that we want to help this ecosystem grow and proliferate and blah blah blah. And then if we have this in mind, this is a goal that we set to ourselves. It will be easier to go to Gnosis and maybe figure out like the structure with them. So yeah, like
wait,
maybe
Nylan,
we can get
why is whether we should double down on Gnosis like the first question we should ask? Like, I think we're operating fine on Gnosis. Everything's kind of like normal. That seems like not to be like the right starting point. It's more of like, is there opportunity to work on something? Does Gnosis want DXDAO to kind of do something? But like, I think DXDAO is like content with Gnosis chain now. I don't know if it needs to pour more resources into it. But I think there needs to be something from like the Gnosis side in terms of what it's willing to provide, or like a little clearer understanding of that. I guess it is funding if that's the primary thing. And I think it actually should be more focused on the products themselves. Ross was in the chat here saying DXGov and Davey will be leaning into Gnosis chain heavily. Like, I think that's a great idea. They're really funding a lot of governance stuff. I know they're trying to make it like a DAO chain. So I don't know if there's something around that. And then I think Swapper, DXDAO has a lot of Swapper tokens, and I think having Gnosis, more invest in that could be an advantage. Even Nimi, I don't know if that would be like a potential interest, but I think it like might be more at the product level, because like that's what's actually operating on, that's what would be deployed or working on Gnosis chain.
Yeah, so my frame for this is the ecosystem fund, right? So they have, I think it's $300 million. I don't know, but they have $300 million, let's say. And then if we decided that we double down on Gnosis chain, right, then maybe we can receive some of this money in order to, I'm like brainstorming here, right? But maybe we could incubate startups that are building on Gnosis chain. And yeah, sort of like just like we're doing with Nimi, but actively go and do this with the funds that we are getting from the ecosystem fund. So that's kind of like an interesting angle. But for that, we need to decide that we are, I guess, maybe more focused on Gnosis chain.
Yeah, I think that's a valid question. Like, why Gnosis chain? Like, do we believe that's the future? Like, is it better than L2s? Like, what? Yeah. Of course, there's like the specific business cases for it, and we have momentum. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is a good because it's forking Ethereum, right? And they're trying to be decentralized like Ethereum. So I guess that's an argument for Gnosis chain.
Yeah, I will say that I don't think we should do anything that's kind of like exclusive, right? It's not that if we're focusing on Gnosis chain, that we're not focusing anywhere else. The thing is, if we're getting, if we're getting funding with GNO or whatever, or like vested GNO, then we want to help Gnosis chain succeed. So I guess that will, automatically happen.
Yeah, how well we could succeed in getting a grant is maybe a good kind of thing to judge by. And we could similarly try to get like optimism grants, and can only imagine that Arbitrum will have one at some point, right? But like, yeah.
Yeah, those grants so far have mainly come in the form of, additional rewards for liquidity mining and things. And I think if DXDAO was going to put Swapper on Optimism or something, that any grants would be probably used for growing and attracting the products and protocols that are on there, rather than like the building of the products, for example, right? but that's like the L2 or sidechain L2 wars, I guess, that may or may not start.
Wait, so this is, I mean, I think I realized something interesting. If we, let's say, you know, we work with Gnosis chain, all right, the Gnosis ecosystem fund, and we get some funding from them, and then, you know, we help them bring startups or you know, protocols and help them spin out and help them grow. I think going to later to optimism and saying, hey, look, we've already done this with Gnosis chain and we have a successful track record is going to be, yeah, it's going to, you know, sort of like play in our favor. And we'll be able to say, yeah, we've done this before, you know, give us grant as well from like optimism and we will help you like spin out decentralized applications. I mean, I'm still brainstorming, right? But I mean, this could be like an interesting thing. And then, you know, later down the line, we go to Arbitrum. Arbitrum has an ecosystem fund. We can get some of that in order to help them spin up projects and protocols.
Totally. And what I'm hoping for is, you know, as DXGov products become, you know, more ready, that there's like, we think DAOs are the future. So this can be DAOs related to like creatives. These could be DAOs related to esports teams. These can be all different types of DAOs. If the tools that we're providing allow communities to like easily spin up these DAOs and do a coordination and manage money together, and every different repo on you know, GitHub has their own little DAO based on, you know, some type of badge that they're a contributor to those repos, and our tools become something that these communities can use automatically. Like those are probably not going to happen on Ethereum mainnet. Those smaller community DAOs and things just aren't, they're just not like friendly on mainnet. So the current plan is for those DAOs probably to exist on something more like Gnosis chain. And so as our products are ready for it, and we you know, start to build and push people towards these DAO offerings and these tools, it makes a lot of sense that would drive a lot of traffic and additional users to Gnosis chain. And so until we have an alternative that we'd say, you know, to Ross's point, like we probably like our tools are going to drive a lot of new users probably to Gnosis chain, and therefore Gnosis chain may want to support that and help drive that. But that's mainly because that's like a really good alternative that exists today. It's not, you know, it's not like there's not much other thought behind it other than that's where we are, that's where our products are, and it's a good use case for like certain amounts of money. You know, if you have $100 million treasury, you may not want to be on only Gnosis chain. That's kind of why DXDAO mainly exists mainly on mainnet Ethereum for that specific reason. But yeah, I guess that same situation could happen with other L2s and sidechains as well, and other ecosystems.
Old idea on potential collaboration with Gnosis is, do you know if they have built a team around Gnosis auction yet?
I have no idea. I think it's Orion who's doing it, but he's like, his hands are like in everything in Gnosis DAO, I think.
I thought he was like
Horn is not Gnosis auction. I don't think they're concentrating on Gnosis auction at this point. Yeah,
he's with Zodiac. I think that's most of his time. But yeah.
But yeah, then so the question is like, how much does Gnosis DAO care about something like Cow Protocol, because it helped make it. At this point, you know, our developments and our collaborations around Cow Protocol and being a you know, decentralized front end to Cow Protocol and things, does that how does that affect our relationship with Gnosis DAO? Or is it just totally separate from that? but a lot of the same people are involved in looking after the things. But Gnosis DAO operates separately from CowDAO at this point.
Yeah, I think technically these are separate things, but practically, Anna's Stefan's younger sister, and they all work together, and just feel like very much tied on like the personal level. And then also Gnosis has a lot of cow tokens and safe tokens. So yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts? I think there are interesting things to explore. I suggest, I don't know, we find time to also speak to some of the folks at Gnosis DAO and figure out what we want to do. I'll try to talk to them. Maybe we can get the Gnosis ecosystem fund guys to present what they're doing, what their plan is, and then maybe DXDAO could figure out how to get involved with that. And maybe to continue Sky's point, I think the fact that we have, if we're going to build like decentralization, like DAO templates, I guess, if I could call it, and someone will come and they want to build like a community and they want to focus on whatever that community is doing, whether it's like a sports team or whatnot, and then we can provide them the framework, the guidance, the how to vote, when to vote, the parameters and stuff like that. This could be like, I think this could be very, very valuable in the future. So yeah, if we can manage to sort of like ship something like that and do this with a couple of projects, which I think maybe tying to the earlier section of the call, if we can do this with Nimi, we can probably figure out how to do it with others and create value for the ecosystem that we create these protocols with. Any other thoughts? Nope. Okay. So yeah, I mean, this is a great discussion. I can maybe start like a thread in DAO Doc where we can continue discussing this. And yeah, I will also try to speak. I can't remember the other guy's name. Melanie, is Melanie on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Do you remember the guy? Do you remember like the Asian guy's Tech and the other guy's name is? Like I have him on Telegram, but I can't find it because I don't remember his name.
It's Tech, and I actually don't remember the other person's name. Oops.
Yeah, all right. We'll figure this out and maybe even invite them to one of the calls. So yeah, that's that. Yeah, the next topic on the agenda is maybe we want to talk about the specific Cow protocol collaboration. Is that here? Do you want to talk about that or?
I mean, we could definitely talk with them about potential things we could do in the future. We met Cow Protocol in Paris, talked briefly, and want to move forward with talking how we could integrate each other deeply, more deeply. They're super excited about Swapper and Cow Protocol. So yeah, I think we could move step by step. We're looking to limit orders for Cow Protocol on Swapper, and if we succeed with that, then we'll be launching limit orders before Cow Protocol themselves launch that. So that's exciting. We're trying to do the limit orders now, and we'll sync with the Cow Protocol team how to launch this together.
Yeah, and just to add to Zet's points, like there, if Swapper can really become this awesome additional front end to Cal Protocol, there's like we need to we're working with them to get the things to show in echo routing correctly. Zet's mentioning limit orders. Then there's also they are trying to figure out a type of kind of incentive or rewards program in order for these front ends like Swapper that are driving users to Cal Protocol. And so that ties in with what we're talking about with Swapper and identifying, what users there are or how much activity it's getting and things like that. And it ties in closely with anything that drives users to Cal Protocol. And that's a little unique because it's the signing of a message, and there's obviously, if they're paying rewards based on traffic that a front end is sending to Cal Protocol, there's some tracking of that and there's some payment of rewards. And so we're planning to speak with them about their initial ideas on what those incentives would be. And then I guess there's additional ideas that maybe one day DXDAO or DXDAO community people could participate in being solvers in that community and things like that as well. So there's a lot of moving parts there, but getting Cal Protocol sorted so that it's showing correctly in Swapper and things like that is probably the most important thing. I believe that Adam is the main person focused on that. But then we can take the rest of the steps from there too.
All right, great. So we have two more topics. One is sort of like a carrot campaign for Devcon, and the other is the Infinite Hackathon. I don't know if we have any update about the Infinite Hackathon. Kenan, are you here? Is there anything new regards to like the
Infinite in general?
Yeah, in general. And then was the date set for
Yeah, so I don't have this in front of me. I can talk a little bit strategy. Maybe we had a long discussion on this at the DX Voice dinner in Paris, I guess, which you were kind of a part of before heading out. I actually have a call with Augusto after this call, so we'll be running over and kind of getting a cemented plan. But kind of the idea right now is to leverage our co-organizers, attain a full-fledged suite of co-organizers and leverage that to get a committed party of hackers right away. So we're going to be setting some kind of deadlines, mocked, of course, for our organizers and our participants. Again, don't have the numbers directly in front of me right now, but want to kind of hit those breakpoints before, important dates such as increasing our capital commitment, etc. And that point going forward, we'll be supporting the content side. Already have some stuff planned, including a landing page, vision, kind of more of a strategy to the organization of Infinite and how that would look like going forward, and what sets it apart. But more importantly, we kind of want to cement those core organizers. So focusing closely on first and foremost on that kind of pitch deck, immediate partners, getting those core organizers, and then from there kind of propagating. I guess that's probably the update for now. We'll be chatting with Augusto and probably sharing a formalized plan, including dates, of course, coming up here today.
Amazing. All right, awesome. So that's that. And then the last thing is carrot campaign for Devcon. I don't know if we have any ideas. Kai, maybe you want to.
Yeah, so if depending on when Carrot V1 is coming into existence, if we think it makes sense to promote and get awareness of it, a really good thing would be to bring Carrot, have a focus on it, and do probably some type of campaign. We tried the one in Amsterdam and it got some awareness. It's a great thing for people to at least talk about. The flyers were very unique. The campaign worked as it was supposed to work. And so the question would be, if Carrot is ready and it's something we want to promote, what types of, and we need to do this far ahead of time, but like what type of campaign or spreading of carrot would we want to do in Bogota? And yeah, it could be, there's lots of different possibilities, but figuring out what type of condition and what type of goal we want for a carrot to do. But it partly depends on the state of if carrot is ready to garner a bunch of attention, and what people can do with it at that point.
Yeah, I wonder if you can also do something with Nimi, right? Maybe, Nimi addresses performing some action. Like first you create your Nimi, and then you need to perform some action in order to, I don't know, satisfy the carrot. So I guess there isn't too much time, but definitely should like brainstorm on these things. Maybe also sync with, John right before he dropped said the contracts are ready, but not sure about the front end. So so I don't know, any other comments, thoughts, ideas?
Do we have an update on applicants for Infinite Hackathon?
I don't have in front of me, but last time I checked, I think a week ago or two, was I think still very small. Like we're talking 2 or 3. Sky applied 5 times, and we're going crazy now. But yeah, that's kind of why we had that discussion about like how do we get applicants? How do we compete with ETH Global? I don't think a lot of people even know they're going to be going to Bogota yet. A lot of people don't have tickets. A lot of people are unsure of their application status, etc. So I think that there's avenues to increase that, but mostly we need to kind of co-organize or work through our co-organizers. Bogota. I'm not allowed to say that word. Everyone makes fun of me. But yeah, leveraging our co-organizers to kind of pad that number. And if we can do that and get enough people on board through our co-organizers, that's, I think, our avenue to win against ETH Global. If it's not the right time, it'll be kind of obvious, and we can, I don't think Infinite will go away as a concept, but maybe Bogota isn't the time to do it in a bear market, and maybe that's something that we kind of focus on in a year or two.
Are you trying to say Bogota?
Yeah.
Okay.
Language is an enigma, man.
Poor Keenan getting bullied on the.
It's like a weekly morale boost to shit on Keenan. It's my Canadian linguistics coming through. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's just a little funny. So cool. I think I don't have anything else on the agenda. I don't know if anyone else wants to add any more comments, but can wrap it up. Anyone? No? All right then. So I guess we can wrap it up. I hope everyone has a great week, and see most of you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Cheers.